Let's stick in the West because Peter Bell is Fremantle's Executive GM of Football Talent, Strategy and Special Projects, and he joins us on the Trade Exchange. Peter, welcome.
Hi, Sarah. Hi, Josh. Hope you're going well.
We're very well. Let's begin with Shai Bolton, a player of interest to your club. But just to confirm, he hasn't nominated Fremantle yet, has he?
No, that's our understanding. We've obviously been in discussions with Shai and his manager for a little while now, but look, he's very keen to get back to Western Australia. We've been in a lot of discussions, so hopefully that can come to fruition over the next week or so.
What's a fair bargain for you? We heard David Walls on Monday say that the club's prepared to walk away if Richmond want too much. I mean, how much is too much?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? Obviously, that's more a question for Richmond, given that Shai's heavily contracted. We'd like to bring him in. We've gone in with what we consider to be a really strong offer. Look, as everyone's aware, the draft is very strong, so the offer that we've put forward is strong on any given year, but particularly this year we believe it to be a strong offer. There's a fair amount of negotiation to go, so I'll let Wolsey and Blair Hartley do that over the next week, and hopefully from a Fremantle perspective we can make it work.
Peter, Simon Garlick was quite interesting on Chad Warner earlier in the week on SEN. He clearly is a player that you'd love to get at some point. Now, he's contracted for 2025. He's going to be one of the most talked about players next year. Is there any chance you can lure him across between now and next Wednesday night?
Oh, look, he's a player of immense talent, Josh. I think every club in the land would love to have Chad Warner in their lineup. And look, he's Sydney's player for next year, and that's where we understand things will be.
Talking about players that are out of contract at the end of next year, Andrew Brayshaw is one of them. He's going to be one of the biggest free agents in the pool. We had David Walls on Monday, and he said conversations are underway. How are they progressing? Because clearly it'd be great to get him off the board before the end of the year, if that's possible.
Yeah, those conversations are going really positively with Andy and also his manager, Tom Petroro. Hopefully they can gather a lot of momentum over coming weeks. We see a really highly invested player. I can't really think of a player who's more invested in the club and being in Western Australia and help us improve than Andy. So we're really confident and hopeful that that'll gather a bit of momentum over the coming weeks.
He has been linked to moves back to Victoria, but he seems so entrenched in your football club since you took him so high in the draft. He's clearly an outstanding leader, potentially a future captain of your football club. There's no threat of losing him, is there?
Not from our perspective. You rest a bit easier when the contract's done, but what we see is incredible investment and connection from Andy, his partner Lizzie as well. And we're really confident, but we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to get that deal done, and it's all tracking positively at the moment.
Peter, what about the coach, Justin Longmire? I mean, in the end, a disappointing season with the side losing the last 4 games and missing out on finals. He's contracted until the end of 2025. Will you look to move on adding an extra year or further onto that deal, or will you head into next year, I guess, like Port Adelaide has done with Ken Hinkley, where you wait and see what happens?
Yeah, that's probably a question for our CEO, Simon Garlick. But look, Justin's a wonderful coach. It was disappointing to not be able to finish the season as strongly as we would have liked and qualify for finals. But I thought we made tremendous ground over the season. We're a very consistent side. That'll burn deeply, not participating in this year's finals, and hopefully that's a strong motivation, not only for the players, but all the football department staff, Sarah.
Now that the dust has well and truly settled on this season, have you put your finger on what exactly went wrong? Because for a period there, it did look like you guys were going to be firmly entrenched in not just the top 8, but the top 4.
Yeah, it's a tough one. All of those last 4 games we were in the contest, but ultimately not good enough to win the game. So we have to look at that and our consistency over 4 quarters. It was such an even season, and those games in particular were very close. And some might say we're a little bit unlucky not to win 1 or 2 of those, but we weren't, as I said earlier, we weren't good enough. So we have to improve. We think there's natural improvement across a number of our young players on our list, and we're looking to add to that where we can, either through the trade or draft over the coming months.
Peter, we don't just focus on players that are moving clubs at this time of the year. We always talk about football department changes. You've had one already in terms of Matthew Boyd returning to Victoria. He's taken up an opportunity at Collingwood. How close are you to replacing him?
I understand that announcements for some key football department staff are looming over the next couple of weeks, Josh. So hopefully that happens pretty soon, and that's my understanding. And yeah, Boydie will be a big loss. Shouldn't be underestimated the huge move it is was for Matt and his family to come over from Victoria with the kids at the age they were, and he's been a great contributor to Fremantle. We wish him and the family all the best, but we're hopeful that we'll be able to add some exciting off-field talent for the group and for the club in the next couple of weeks, like I said.
He wasn't the only one that returned to Victoria, and you touched on the pull of having to return home with a young family. Bob Murphy was one that's done the same thing after spending 3 years at your footy club. He wore a number of different hats, and in the end he was the head of leadership. Not every club has a head of leadership. Will you look to replace him directly?
Yeah, look, I understand that's the situation. It might not be a direct replacement, if you like. Bob's got some really unique talents in the connection space, and we just thought a role like that was vitally important, given the youth in our list, the young leaders in our list, and having someone who, being a strong leader, contemporary leader in the game, was really important. Bob's done a great job developing our leadership skills, not only within our official sort of leadership group, but across the board, as well as being a wonderful sounding board for Justin and a number of other people within the footy department. So he'll be missed, but with Bob going back to Victoria, there's other opportunities, and I think there will be some people or a person brought in that leadership space that again will be announced in coming weeks.
Speaking of leadership, Pete, I want to ask you about the captain because he's out of contract next year. He's had an outstanding couple of years after so many injury issues. How are you going in terms of re-signing him? Will you look to try and do that between now and round one?
I understand that's the case also, yep. So Alex has been an outstanding leader. He's really grown his leadership, and unfortunately getting injured late in the year, he was hard to replace, and not only from a playing perspective, but also that on-field leadership, really vocal and demanding captain out there on the field. So there's been some preliminary discussions, and I'm sure that Wolsey and the team will be sitting down with Alex's representation and getting something sorted soon.
We're speaking to Fremantle's Executive GM of Football Talent, Strategy and Special Projects, Peter Bell. And Peter, this is time for the hard-hitting questions. I'm coming over your way in January. I've got some time in Fremantle and down in Yallingup. I need some tips. Hit me. What should I be doing? Where should I be going? Where should I be eating and drinking? I feel like you know the answer to these questions.
I understand you spent a bit of time in the southwest previously, so you can't go wrong with the beaches and the vineyards and the wineries down that way. Fremantle's a great area. Clearly, anywhere close to the coast, whether it be sort of North Fremantle, Cottesloe, you can't go too far wrong. Numerous places, but particularly in the southwest, you can take your pick. It's a magnificent part of the world.
Don't you reckon, Peter, the beaches in southern WA are probably among the best in the world?
Well, I don't want to be too controversial, and maybe I'm not as well-travelled as what you are, Sarah. There's too much time to go away. But, yeah, look, whether it be the southwest, whether for those of you listening who aren't from Western Australia, well worth a visit down to places like Denmark and Esperance and even Rottnest Island, which is only 20 minutes away from the coast of Fremantle, is a unique and wonderful experience, and I'll be putting an invoice to WA Tourism.
Fair enough.
Of this interview.
Peter, we need to straighten up before we let you go, and just thinking about the summer period ahead, and if you're a footy fan, you think about the pre-season, you look for information to come out of clubs across the pre-season, and one way that clubs look to get better across the summer is the pre-season supplemental selection period. And you look back to last year and you had two of the best wins of that window. Jeremy Sharp went on to play all 23 games and was such a good get after being delisted by the Gold Coast Suns. And Pat Voss was the other one who stepped up when you needed him quite late in the year, played the 7 games in the end and ended up getting a 2-year extension. Do you expect to be active with the SSP this year?
Look, yeah, it really depends on what we do via trade and draft and everything else. So, Sharpie we've been working with for a while, and then we're able to do that once he was delisted by the Gold Coast, and he had a great season. And you're right, Vossi was a fantastic addition. He trained really, really hard, deserved his opportunity, and ended up kicking, a goal a game, which for a young forward, you tend to forget that he's incredibly young also. There's a lot to work with there with Pat. So we'll wait and see. We have done that previously, Josh, as you've just articulated. So we'll see what our list spots look like, what openings there are and possibilities, and we'll make a call on that once we get through trade and draft.
Peter, thanks for joining us. Go and put that invoice into Tourism WA because you did a good job spruiking it. Thanks for joining us on the Trade Exchange.
No, always a pleasure. Thanks, guys.